okay. Well, it started fast, this game. The first quarter of an hour was pretty exciting, pretty enticing, but the last 15 minutes or so it has dipped a little bit in terms of goal mouth action. I'm sure things will pick up in the next 15 minutes before we go to half-time. Here's Jorgensen, first man on a yellow card today. Canos cutting inside onto his right foot, but is closed down by Castagna. He plays it out wide, but via a ricochet goes out for a Brentford throw-in midway inside the Leicester City half. Down the line it goes for Onyeka, who's joining the attack. There's no Wisser, of course, today, but he's got away from Soyuncu here, and he tries to cross it in, but it did ricochet back off of Onyeka and behind for a goal kick. Rather unfortunate for Frank Onyeka, but Soyuncu did his part. I think there are a few questions raised about Soyuncu last season when he came back from that injury, which meant that he missed a lot of the season, but he played in every game so far. Only one of 4 Leicester players to start every game, in fact, in the Premier League this season. I'll leave it to the pub quizzes to work out the rest. Good pressing high from Brentford. Castagna knocking it out for a throw-in under the pressure of numerous Brentford players. Be another long throw-in. Jorgensen, about 25 yards from the corner flag. It's a better angle, I'd say. In it comes from Jorgensen towards the corner of the 6-yard box. It's headed away by Samara. Jorgensen gets it back, headers it back into the mix. Where's it going to drop? It falls to Iheanacho, who clears it up into the air. Back in from Onyeka. It goes anywhere, and Tony used Daniel Amati as a step ladder to climb above everybody there, and in doing so he fell from a great height and seems to have hurt himself once more. Another player down in the Leicester City penalty area for Brentford, and this is one man they can't afford to get injured. Well, at TalkSport Live is what you want to tweet. Tell us about your opinions. Tony's back up, by the way, and Schmeichel will continue, who makes his 123rd consecutive start in the Premier League for Leicester, as Norgard leaves that for Janssen. And now on Onyeka, it's a poor pass for Jorgensen as he's chased down by Jamie Vardy running towards his corner flag, but Jorgensen had time and composure and pinged it back to his goalkeeper David Raya. Made 18 saves so far this season in the Premier League, averaging more than 2 a game, as the ball's played round the corner here for Rico Henry to chase, but Ricardo Pereira is there. Brentford need to up it because Leicester have looked pretty comfortable where they do there until Iheanacho can't find the overlapping run of Ricardo Pereira. Janssen, that's more direct, looking for Mbermo, but finds only Evans, and second ball falls to Canos. Jorgensen. Janssen floats it forward to Tony, controls it on his chest and plays it out wide to Onyeka, who just about keeps it in, gives it to Canos, and most of his options are in the midfield. One of them is his striker, Ivan Toney, who's allowed to turn. He's got space here, Ivan Toney, then even further forward though for Brentford. Janssen to Norgard, inside to Onyeka. He's got Mbermo in the middle, as is Tony! Super save from Schmeichel. Well, Tony did well to get in front of the defender, Johnny Evans, and he guided his header goalwards, but for the fingertips of Kasper Schmeichel. And that is a very good opportunity for Brentford, which Tony probably should have done better with. Good run, good header, and a great save, to be fair, to Kasper Schmeichel. Brentford have woken up. Corner again for Brentford. They've had quite a few of these now. Outswinger. Into the mix it goes. Where's it going to drop? It's kept alive here. There's a shot from Mbermo, and it's dragged wide. That's his fourth or fifth shot now from Brian Mbermo. Needs to improve. In fact, it wasn't Mbermo, it was Rico Henry who got the touch. He's not known for his goal scoring. Rico Henry, last goal came against Luton in the Championship. October 2020 was when he scored that goal. 3-0 win though. Sure, he won't be forgetting that anytime soon. Well, it would have been nice for him, certainly, if that flew in. Brendan Rodgers trudging the edge of the touchline. Just watching his players impress out on the pitch in front of him. Here's Iheanacho, who manages to just keep it alive as Maddison gets an obvious shove in the back from Frank Onyeka. And this is where the free kick was that led to the opening goal for Leicester City. They didn't score direct from the free kick, it was the header away which ultimately led to Tielemans volleying it in from outside the penalty area. And you're not going to get away with that, Frank Onyeka, I'm afraid. Well, James Maddison is known for his deliveries. One of the key creators in the Premier League over the last few years. I think only Kevin De Bruyne has made more opportunities to score ahead of him since he made his debut, since he made his move from Norwich. Maddison to take towards the far post this time. Soyuncu's arriving. It's headed in by Jorgensen, and then Norgard gets his head to the second ball. Still alive for Leicester. 35 yards out is James Maddison. And it's gone back a little bit now under the pressure of the Bees. Iheanacho on the left wing, not where you want him, and that's why you don't want him on the left wing. His cross goes over everybody in the middle. Vardy and Castagna were the only players who remained forwards. Pinnock looking for... Vardy almost pinched it off of Ethan Pinnock as he dragged it away from him. Incidentally, goes back to his goalkeeper Raya. Forward it goes, looking for the run of Mbermo, but Johnny Evans, composed as ever, deals with it, gives it to Castagna. Next time, right-footed, clears it. Well, Thomas Frank just needs to say to his lads at half-time, you need to come out fighting like you did at the beginning of the first half. Here's Iheanacho, good play. And now Maddison, midway inside the Brentford half, out wide to Jamie Vardy. He's got support in blue in the middle. 3 shirt if he can get the ball in. He can't, he has to go backwards. Sumare, Maddison, good slide tackle from Onyeka. Had to get that one right, and now Brentford can come away on the counter charge. They've got space to run into. It's what they like. It's Canos, but across comes Sumare and slows down the Brentford counter charge. Good defensive midfield work from Boubakary Sumare. Well, he won the League One title in France last year, did Boubakary Sumare with Lille. So he's no slouch. He's a league winner in one of the top 5 divisions in European football. Not to be sniffed at all. Jensen inside to Onyeka. Always looks composed in possession. Jensen not really wanting it in that position. He needs it inside the Leicester City half rather than just on the halfway line. Jorgensen inside to Mbermo, who comes deep this time. He's encouraged to run with the ball, but instead he switches the play out to the left, or tries to. Ricardo Pereira prevents that from getting all the way across to Rico Henry, who's adventured up the left hand side. Jensen on Onyeka. He has to go backwards under pressure. Now Janssen, and again all the way back to David Raya. Pinnock, oh, it's a heavy touch as well. He's got to be careful there, Pinnock, and that could be a foul. And it is a foul. And I'd be surprised if Pinnock gets away without a yellow card there. Youri Tielemans was the man who won it back, and I think it was a knee in the thigh on Youri Tielemans. Oh, and yeah, it was a Bad foot in from Ethan Pinnock. Well, if it wasn't his right foot, it was definitely his left leg that caught Youri Tielemans. Still goalless between West Ham and Tottenham, by the way. A couple of yellow cards is all there is to report from that game. Bonner and Souček in the book. Well, it won't be a free kick for Leicester. Brendan Rodgers just having a conversation with the fourth official as to why that's not the case. It's a throw-in for Brentford. Now on the back line, it's Ethan Pinnock. More touches, more blocks and more interceptions for Brentford than any other player. Room in the middle here for Onyeka, who's chopped down by Soyuncu, and to me that looked like a pretty similar foul to the one that was just committed by Jorgensen, which wasn't given. Soyuncu definitely with the foul this time. Onyeka remains on the turf, in fact. He'll need to recover because he's been key for Brentford in breaking up Leicester City's forward play. Basically, him and Maddison have been tussling all day, and it studs down the ankle on Frank Onyeka. It's a sore one, that. Chaglar Soyuncu stepping in on the Brentford midfielder, the Nigerian international midfielder. Yeah, he's got a bit of a limp about him. Onyeka. Is there a foul on Tony? No, there is an advantage. Advantage doesn't happen. Play continues. Maddison can't get away from Onyeka in the midfield, though. Tony to Canos in a central position for the first time this afternoon. They're looking very narrow at the moment, Brentford, and they run even more narrow to try and make something happen there, and Samari can bring it away. Maddison. Iheanacho out wide. Vardy now rejoins the attack, but Iheanacho down the right hand side for Leicester. He's got Maddison asking for it. Instead he goes back one further to Tielemans. That's the range he scored from before. Can't get the shot off this time. Goes right to Ricardo Pereira. Samari's in the middle. He bypasses Samari. Goes to Soyuncu. About 10 yards inside the Brentford half, and Brentford do well to put pressure on Castagna and force him all the way back to Kasper Schmeichel. Here's Soyuncu, just about manages to keep it in. Cue the panto sound effects from the Brentford supporters. And it's given away. And there's a chance. Brentford just trying to force it. They don't need to force it when they've got the ball there. They can take their time. Onyeka. Rico Henry. Out wide. It goes to Jensen. Looks for movement. Switches it brilliantly. Out to Jorgensen. Tyus Jorgensen down the right hand side, and nobody running for Brentford. Well, we saw Mbeumo quite a lot in the first 20 minutes or so, and since then he's not really touched the ball for Brentford, not done anything positive with it, not done anything of note. Tony's had that header, but other than that, opportunities have started to disappear for Brentford. We've got just over a minute of normal time remaining. It's away by Schmeichel. Or by Pinnock. Forward to Onyeka. Norgard. Jensen. Around the corner. That's a good ball for Tony. He's got Mbeumo in the middle, but the pass is behind Mbeumo. And Soyuncu is able to clear it, and eventually the flag goes up against Ivan Toney anyway, who'd just strayed into an offside position. Well, it was a good step up from Johnny Evans. Brilliant defensive mindset from Evans to catch Tony in an offside position. He's looked brilliant since coming back into this first team fold after his injury. First consecutive starts in the league in the last two games. The Manchester United win and the Palace draw. Ricardo with the throw-in on the right-hand side for Leicester City. Midway inside the Brentford half. Tielemans chests it back to Ricardo Pereira. The Brentford fans unhappy because 2 minutes has been added on. They feel like it should be more as Raya comes out of his penalty area. And it looked like he might have handballed it for a moment, but instead the flag goes up as Iheanacho indicates with his thumb and his index finger, but there's only an inch or so in it. Janssen fizzes it forward, gives it away to Evans. So it's won back though by Norgard, and he's tries to feed it once more to Ivan Toney, but Brentford just seem to be forcing it a little bit at the moment. They just don't have that wriggle room in the number 10 position as Pinnock comes forward and runs it out of play. Heavy touch from Ethan Pinnock, not his first one of the day. We've had half of the added time. Marty back to Schmeichel, closed down by Mbermo, but Schmeichel got plenty of years of experience on those shoulders. He'll always be younger than his dad, but he's got plenty of experience, and that's a good knockback by Toney, but the touch from Jensen doesn't come off. It's still alive here on the left with Henry. Toney in the penalty area, he goes, and in steps Johnny Evans once more. Example, Johnny Evans at the back. He's had a brilliant first half, but Brentford will have one more opportunity before the half-time whistle blows, and it'll be from a corner. First one on this near side. In fact, they've had plenty on the far side. 5 in fact. 6-0 they lead with corners. None of them have been any good so far though. Everyone back for Leicester for the final throws. Jamie Vardy marking that front post area. Right footed in swing into the middle, headed away. It's still kept alive by Rico Henry. Onyeka jumps with Evans. Where's it going to drop? Samari gets his head on it, and before Canos can recycle possession, the referee blows his whistle, and the half-time whistle indicates the players go down the tunnel and have a rest. 15 minutes of it. They've played well, both these sides. Brentford started the fastest. Story Tielemans, and an unbelievable strike in the 14th minute. That's what separates the two sides. But we'll now go across London to East London, to the London Stadium for Alex Crook and David Connolly, who are watching West Ham beat Tottenham.
Indistinguishable, and they rose to become sporting icons that etched their legacy on the history of English football.
Down at home to Leicester at half-time in West London in the East End. Nothing between West Ham and Tottenham. 0-0. Coming up later, quite simply, the biggest game on the planet. Liverpool travelling to Manchester United. Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jurgen Klopp.
The history between the clubs, the rivalry, all the trophies that these two teams have won, it's a massive game, and the local rivalry. And I always say, every time you're a Man United player being given the privilege, honor, responsibility to wear the shirt and step out onto that pitch, onto Old Trafford against Liverpool. You give everything you have, and we know that these games don't need any bigging up. It's a massive game.
If you watch the game, then you obviously could see that Atlanta cost United in the first half some problems, but even in that half, I think United had 3 clear-cut chances in one situation of the goalie. So with all the things, so in the second half was a pure power presentation of United. They went for it, and with the quality they have, the individual quality they have, they can cause then any team problems, especially when you stop playing football. What opposite Atlanta did a little bit. I prepared the team for a tough game against a really good opponent.
That was Jurgen Klopp and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looking ahead to Manchester United against Liverpool. Paul Parker and John Anderson will be your commentary team at Old Trafford. We'll have the team news in around about 40 minutes' time. David, quick word on that game. I mean, everything to win this game, but by the same token, we've said that before when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's managed to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, they were dreadful against Leicester, and sort of a lot of questions were asked about that. I don't think they were that much better against Atalanta, but, turned it around in the end with their second half performance, and I think obviously Ole Liverpool doesn't get much bigger than this, and this is where he needs his players to stand up and be counted. It looks like Fernandes might be struggling, Fred might be struggling, maybe Rashford might be struggling as well, so we'll have to wait and see. But for Liverpool and the likes of Mo Salah, they're going to be so tough to stop.
Fred is struggling. That might be a case of strength in the absence. But in terms of Ronaldo, could he be a problem this afternoon? Because we know that he doesn't press from the front. We've all seen the statistics. Against Liverpool, can you afford to have almost a passenger when you're not in possession like Ronaldo? Well,
I mean, the reason they signed Ronaldo is they looked at say, Man City, and you saw the goals they scored last night, Man City. How many they got in the 6-yard box? Foden one, Gundogan one, another one. I think there could be one more. But basically, they had like four times as many goals as United in the 6-yard box. So they needed a 6-yard box finisher. And they got one now. So, I mean, it depends what you want. Do you want him to come short, link the play like Kane and get involved in the box, or do you want him in and around the penalty area, second 6-yard box, because there'll be no one better? I know what I'd rather have. I'd rather have him. So, you can't have it all, and, this is where Ollie's got to confound his critics, really, and it don't need a performance. But yeah. I think Ronaldo starts. It's got to.
Well, we'll find out in 35 minutes' time. We'll get the team news first and fastest here on Premier League Live. We've got the second half to come as well. West Ham against Tottenham. A very cagey opening 45 minutes in the East End. Son then plays it into Ndombele. He's continued his run. Son into the penalty area. Shoots right-footed straight at Fabianski.
Fantastic football this is from Tottenham. Finally they do pick a way through. This time it's Ndombele. Spots the runner Son. It's a perfect pass, 30 yards along the deck, and Son could have squared it.
Fornals, level with the penalty area. Over on the far side, crosses over the head of Antonio, and it's a header from Souček against the stanchion behind the goal. A glorious chance. Souček knows it, punches the green turf in frustration. It was a wonder. Souček rising high above Reguilon, just couldn't get the header on target, and probably should have.
By his standards, that is a really good chance. Probably one last season, maybe, I don't know, maybe would have taken it.
Reguilon with a chance to cross again. Stood up to the far post. Kane wanted it more. Good save, Fabianski. Turns the ball over the crossbar. Harry Kane from point blank range, rising above Cresswell. And it's going to be a corner for Tottenham.
Yeah, it's a good, strong hand from Fabianski. I think either side of him, it would have been a goal.
West Ham 0, Spurs 0. There hasn't been a draw between these two in the last 12 meetings. What do the two managers, David Moyes and Nuno Espirito Santo, have to do in the second half, David Connolly, to make sure their team come out on the right end of the result?
Well, I think David Moyes will be pretty content with what he's seen so far. I mean, obviously, they've had probably the better chances. I think Tottenham have been really wasteful in possession. If you're Nuno, you'd be saying, you've got to retain the ball a little bit better. At times, you know, the likes of Højbjerg and Skip kick the ball off the pitch. That, you know, they haven't looked progressive enough, and it's been a bright opening from West Ham. You know, they'll be pretty pleased so far. You know, Souček's probably had the best chance of the game, hasn't he, with the header? And for Tottenham, it's been kind of shots from distance. So, you know, they'll have to improve, try and work that ball closer to goal.
I want to ask you quickly about a story that's been breaking in the last half an hour or so. Reports that Billy Gilmour spotted celebrating with the Chelsea players after they beat his loan club Norwich 7-0 at Stamford Bridge yesterday. Talk that his loan at Carrow Road may well be terminated as a result of that. Isn't a great look, is it?
No, I mean, look, we don't know exactly, do we, if this is true or not. But, you know, I guess he didn't feature, did he? Not allowed to, which I don't agree with in this country. I think it's really, it's a strange situation to have a player on loan
of leaving. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk.
Feel could be crucial in this one. Tottenham this season doesn't look as if either manager are going to go to their bench for the second half. The Tottenham players have been out for a good minute or so now. They look primed and ready for action, David Connolly, much like your good self.
Well, maybe he sent them out of a flea in their ear, I don't know, they're out early. You know, I'm sure Nuno will want a little bit better. You know, to be honest, it hasn't been a classic so far, pretty cagey affair. You know, I think both teams know the strengths of each other, not willing to give much away. But they just had the average positions up on the graphic on the TV. And look, when West Ham don't have the ball, as we were saying in commentary, all 11 behind it, really hard, difficult to break down. It looks like Tottenham's best chance is on the counter, but apart from Son, they don't really have the speed, do they, to really hurt teams. And when they've tried to play that longer pass, it's normally been kicked off the pitch. So a bit of a challenge for Spurs. and West Ham, and they get the ball into the likes of Antonio, get it wide, get it into the box, they look a threat.
The bubbles from the bubble machine flying across the pitch here at London Stadium. The West Ham players back out ready for the second half. David Moyes, the last to emerge, the West Ham manager, deep in conversation with the club captain Mark Noble amongst the subs this afternoon, but no change for the second half, which West Ham get underway in their claret jerseys, sky blue sleeves, white shorts and claret socks, attacking the goal away to the left-hand side with Fabianski in goal, Johnson, Zuma, O'Connor, who's been booked, and Cresswell making up defence, Souček and Rice in front of them, Bowen, Benrahma and Fornal front. Tottenham with the white jerseys, navy shorts and white socks, shooting from left to right with Lloris in goal, Emerson Royal, Romero, Dyer and Reguilon, Højbjerg and Skip, Lucas Moura and Ndombele and Son, and then Harry Kane, who's been largely starved of service on his 250th Premier League appearance, the England captain up front, having been shortlisted recently for the coveted Ballon d'Or.
Well, they had the kick-off there, didn't they, West Ham? Played it back to Zuma and tried to aim for Souček.
Welcome back to West London, the Brentford Community Stadium on Premier League Live. My name's Richard Wolfenden. I'll be your commentator for the second half, where it looks as if Leicester City are preparing to make a change. Patson Daka looks ready to come on. I'll confirm who's going off in just a moment. Well, the score at the beginning of the second half is Brentford 0, Leicester City 1. And it'd be interesting to see what the change is, whether it's an attacking one in terms of a midfielder coming off or a defender coming off in place of Patson Daka. And first there'll be a Brentford change. It's Ayer who's coming on, and Ethan Pinnock's had to come off because of a knock that he picked up. Christopher Ayer. And it is Patson Daka who comes on. She didn't see the player who's gone off. Well, let me just have a look at the pitch. And I think it's Jamie Vardy who's gone off here. Jamie Vardy disappears at half-time. Not quite sure what that is about, but that'll be a worry for Leicester City, their top scorer off the pitch. Here's Iheanacho. He remains on the pitch, dispossessed by Jorgensen. And Rico Henry will clear it away. Remember, at TalkSport Live, get your questions in, get your opinions in. What do you think of that Tielemans goal? Goal of the season, surely. It's Leicester who start on the front foot, though, and it slid through for Patson Daka, but Pontus Jansson was in place to just knock it behind. In fact, it'll be a throw-in. But it's Leicester going from right to left, and Brentford going from left to right, and it's Brentford like they did at the beginning of the first 45. And there's Jamie Vardy on the bench for Leicester. He'll be disappointed to have come off. Didn't see any ice pack or anything on him, but he is off. Substitution apiece. He'll have the shot from range, the save from Raya, and Daka tries the overhead kick on the rebound. He might well have been offside, but David Raya wasn't to know. But James Maddison wound that one up from 25 yards. We've already seen one screamer in this game from Tielemans. We almost got one from James Maddison. Leicester starting on the front foot in this second half. Johnny Evans on the halfway line. Everybody back in their own half for Brentford. And Marty. Iheanacho comes deep, skips away from two Brentford players. Traditionally, in the Premier League era, this isn't how Leicester tend to play, with possession against back to the Wolves defence. They like to release the ball in and behind, as Canos has it for Brentford. He just clears his lines rather hopefully, though. Burmo's going to chase. Evans has sliced clearances, fortunately, at Samare. Here's Maddison, heavy touch in the middle, gives it away to Onyeka. And he nearly threw it through to Mbeumo, and he just They just keep rushing it at the moment, Brentford. They're trying to force it when they don't need to force it. They had room to move into there on Onyeka, and in all honesty, I think he made the wrong decision. It's given away there, though, by Tielemans. That definitely was the wrong decision. In the middle, Tony with the header, but he gets zero power in it. And in the end, it's another easy save for Kasper Schmeichel. Samari comes away. And the counter's on for Leicester City. It's Ricardo Pereira on the right. Brentford getting players back now, though, and it's slowed down. And Tielemans will play it backwards. Well, a chance apiece and a save apiece at the beginning of the second half. That's more like it from both these teams. Amati inside to Tielemans, dispossessed by a combination of Jorgensen and Norgard. Tony's making the run ahead of him. Instead he goes to Onyeka. Jensen plays it forward, but it's a poor pass from Jensen. The midfield's passing hasn't been particularly on it today for Brentford. That'll be infuriating for Thomas Frank, and here's Iheanacho, and he could be more infuriated in a second as Iheanacho strides forward. He's dispossessed though by Jorgensen. Good tackle from the former Huddersfield man. Norgard, and now Jensen, and now Onyeka, and now Tony, who's got to be careful, and he actually manages to pull out a great pass to Christopher Ayer, and Brentford can launch a counter charge. Mbeumo, heavy touch there, and Soyuncu had just a moment to pop in there and slip it away. Apologies for any language you may have heard from the fan. Janssen, what's he doing there? He's just hooked it up into the air towards nobody. Luckily for Brentford, the header off Tielemans goes out wide to Rico Henry, and now Norgard. He's got Onyeka in space, which was quickly shut down. Instead he goes out wide to Rico Henry, who cuts inside away from Ricardo Pereira. Good running from Rico Henry. Matthias Jensen wasn't alert to the ball back, and Ricardo thankfully was for Leicester. And they just need to up it a little bit at the moment, Brentford. Frustrating stuff for their supporters in West London here. Janssen into the penalty area, nearly prods it through to Mbeumo, but Soyuncu stood strong once more. Given from goal, right-footed, switches the play out to Canos, tries to put it in first time, hits the back of Castagna, ricochets into Canos' path and puts it in right-footed, looking for Tony, away by Amati, and now Norgard. He tried to find Onyeka, but Maddison and Soyuncu combined to win it back. And Leicester have done well to work it out of a difficult position with Sumari. And now Maddison tries to launch a counter charge with Iheanacho making the run on the far side. Still 0-0 between West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Jorgensen on the left of that back three now. Tony gets chopped from behind by Daniel Amati. And it'll be a free kick for Brentford. Amati just trying to stop play at the moment because he's got blood drawn from his nose. Just caught by Ivan Toney. Right on the hooter. And there is a little bit of blood coming out. It's a small cut on the nose, but tends to be on the face. Well, just getting the replay of that Tony goal that was offside again, and so close. Just the sleeve of Ivan Toney was offside. Brian Mbeumo was definitely offside, who was the man in front of him, but Mbeumo didn't touch it. Well, Brian Mbeumo has had the chances in this game for Brentford. 2 goals in his last 4, scored in the win against West Ham at the London Stadium. Memorable win that for the West Londoners against the East Londoners. more shots, more dribbles than anybody else for Brentford. But it's looking like it's going to be a disappointing afternoon for Brentford so far, as we've got 53 minutes on the clock. It's still Brentford 0, Leicester 1 on Premier League Live. Well, there was the connection with Amarty's face, which is why he's bleeding from the nose. I don't think the referee's going to be taking any look at that. Benson position. Here's Henry. Just Brentford's shape a little bit off at the moment. Rather fortuitously gives it to Frank Onyeka. Canos to Janssen. Ayer looks to progress into the Samare out to Amarty and Evans. It's not looking very good for Brentford at the moment, not quite at it. Castagna to Samare, good 1-2 with Maddison. Samare 25 yards from goal, encouraged to shoot, does shoot, good save. David Raya palmed over his crossbar and behind for a corner. He's been a busy goalkeeper today, David Raya, and again called upon there to prevent Boubakary Samare getting his first goal for his new club. Well, they're taking the time over this, Leicester City, which is why there's frustration. James Maddison just taking his time running towards the corner flag. It's the slowest jog I've ever seen. Even I can jog faster than that as he tries to wind up the Brentford fans even more. There's a man preparing to come on for Brentford, and it's Brian Mbeumo who's coming off. I don't think anybody expected that. And on in his place is Marcus Fors. Well, Mbeumo's not had the best of games, hardly touched the ball, not made anything happen, and he does go off. The Finnish international Marcus Fors comes on. Third appearance of the season from him, yet to score. Sure he'd love one today. Maddison's corner in towards the near post, headed away by Norgard. Out as far as Ricardo Pereira, who will take his time and go back to Castagna, who will take his time and go back to Kasper Schmeichel. Schmeichel goes long looking for Maddison, goes over everybody, and out for a Brentford throw in. Schmeichel unhappy with the effort Maddison made to keep that in. Not Pinnock, sorry. Jorgensen comes forward down the left hand side, gives it away to Tielemans, and now Maddison gets space to run into. He's away from Norgard. No, he's not. Norgard has recovered, and Onyeka picks it up. Maddison now the pantomime villain. Here's Norgard, Rico Henry, and Jensen back to Norgard, inside to Onyeka. What can he do? He runs down the right channel, tries to get away from Castagna, just doesn't have the athleticism to do it alone, so is forced to go back to Christopher Ayer, the man who joined from Celtic in the summer. 14 million quid as it's played through to Fors here, who's in an offside position, but it's pulled back for a free kick for Brentford. Tony wanted to take it quickly, played Canos in fact. It's brought back for a free kick about 25-30, and Jensen's the man who's going to stand over this. Well, they're going to have a big wall here, Leicester City. Well, they don't. It's just James Maddison, so I think Kasper Schmeichel's pretty happy that predicting that the cross is going to come in from Brentford here. Jensen went to flick over the top and thought again. Jensen floats it to the back post. It's glanced on by Samare and behind for a corner. Corner on the far side. Brentford have had plenty, but they've not been good. That one's better. Into the mix it goes, and into the goal it goes. Brentford have the corner. Half an hour to go here in West London. It's Brentford 1, Leicester 1. Well, it was a great header. The ball in from Jensen to the near post, and Jorgensen, great header. It's his first goal for his new club, for Matthias Jorgensen. Once of Huddersfield, so inside that far post. And Jorgensen makes it 1 apiece. Norgard, good technique to play the ball down the right hand side, but Canos can't get there because Evans come across. To Ricardo Pereira, back to Yuri Tielemans. Evans, Amati down the right side for Ricardo Pereira, gets it back from Iheanacho. Still 0-0 with West Ham and Tottenham, by the way, as the ball's round the corner there for Iheanacho, into the penalty area, back for Daka with the header. Got there ahead of Janssen, but got way too much power on it, and over the crossbar it goes. Goal kick, Patson Daka. Jensen looks for movement, can't see anything in front of him, so switches the play to Christopher Ayer. Looks for movement, sees it down the right hand side, and Sergei Canos, who gets tripped by Soyuncu. That's clumsy defending from Chaglar Soyuncu. Dived in early, didn't have to go to ground. He's a good defender, Soyuncu, but just showed a little bit of immaturity there, Chaglar Soyuncu, and he gets a yellow card for his troubles. Canos was away down the right hand side. And he's got some defending to do now, the former Freiburg centre back. It's another set piece for Brentford. The Leicester players wait in their zonal marking system, which fell apart on the last set piece they defended. In it comes from Jensen. It's a looping one to the back post, and there's a push from Janssen in the middle, or maybe it was Jorgensen in fact, and either way the free kick goes the way of Leicester. It's taken quickly by the goalkeeper Schmeichel, but Henry and Canos, the two wide defenders, come back to combine an almost pincer movement on Kelechi Iheanacho. Canos stuck on the left hand side still, but for a moment he kept possession. But then Ricardo Pereira shows great skill to get some space on the right hand side for Leicester. Maddison now 20 yards inside the Brentford half and progressing. Pereira switches the play to the back post. Castagna knocks it down with his head, nearly falls for Maddison, but Jensen was there to get a toe in and poke it away. Schmeichel to Daniel Amati out on that right hand side. His first start in 5 Premier League games against Manchester United, but he looks to be first choice at the moment. As Rico Henry receives the ball after Janssen beat Iheanacho in the air. But both sides just at the moment not playing the best football that they know they can play. Here's Samare into Maddison, goes down again, this time under a challenge from Pontus Janssen. Both players are on the deck at the moment, and I think it was just clever shielding work from James Maddison. Yeah, Maddison, he knows how to shield the ball because he just manages to wriggle that space, doesn't he, in the number 10 position. High five from both players to one another, but Maddison has the free kick. He's certainly got the muddiest kit on the field at the moment, James Maddison. He's been kicked left, right and centre, the former Norwich City man. Difficult position though, right in the middle of the Brentford half. Maddison, some power on that to the back post. Soyuncu wins the header and Evans has it cleared against his chest by Christopher Ayer. He's asking for a handball, Ayer, but it's gone behind for a goal kick either way, so possession will be Brentford's. But we've got 25 minutes to go and it's Brentford 1, Leicester City 1. All level in the Premier League here in West London. It's also level in East London. West Ham 0, Tottenham 0. Where it's East London versus North London. Tony beaten in the air by Evans. Usually great at winning these headed duels is Ivan Toney, but he's not really won too many of them today. Had a few headed chances, but not clear cut ones. The best one came at the beginning of this second half. There was one in the final 10 minutes of the first half, and he might be able to run in behind here, but Soyuncu prevents him from doing so. Holds up three fingers to say there was three of them, lads. As there's a defensive change for Leicester imminent, and it's Soyuncu who's going off, in fact. Maybe the fact that he's on a yellow card is making manager Brendan Rodgers a little bit uneasy. And it is Vestergaard who comes on. So many Danish players on the field at the moment. There's Yannick Vestergaard, there's Matthias Jorgensen, there's Matthias Jensen, there's Christian Norgard. There's plenty of Danish players on the field at the moment. A lot more than usual anyway. There's also Schmeichel in goal for Leicester. Long throw into the penalty area from Jorgensen, glanced on at the opponent, and he puts it out for an Leicester throw in midway inside the Brentford half. Vestergaard switches it to Daniel Amati. He'll come forward, and he's getting a bit of a nosebleed here, not his first one of this evening. Samari progressing forward to Ricardo Pereira. Samari makes the overlapping run. It's a clever back heel as well, looking to find Ricardo Pereira, but Henry is there. Pereira goes down in the penalty area. Not too much of a protest from Ricardo Pereira, but I'm sure VAR will check it as Onyeka comes forward here through the legs of Simon Hooper, the referee, and it's a good nutmeg on the man in black. Out wide it goes to Canos. Ayer wants the underlap. He doesn't. Well, he does get it now, and Vestergaard is able to clear it away. Norgard out wide to Ayer. It's Brentford who are doing the pressing at the moment as he puts the ball towards the penalty area. It wasn't really a great sweeping cross. There's a brilliant back heel from Tony, away by Evans though. Gets his head up. Ayer wins the second header. Up goes Evans again. It's proper head tennis at the moment, and eventually it's Ricardo Pereira who brings it down, and Tielemans gives it to Samari, but Samari gives it away to Norgard, who goes down, and that'll be a free kick. Just a little bit too aggressive there, Boubacarou Samari. And West Ham have taken the lead against Tottenham. Antonio, the man who scored there. 20 minutes to go. We have 20 minutes to go here as well. Jensen has a free kick in a dangerous position, loops it in towards the penalty area. Tony goes up. Where's it going to drop? Evans is there to clear it again. He's been brilliant today. Here's Maddison. He's giving it away, and Henry has it in the penalty area. He pulls it back for Ayer. It's through the legs. And did it hit? It did. It hit the knee of Vestergaard and went into the side netting. And that was poor from Maddison. It's all well and good trying a few cross step-overs when you're in the final third as the ball comes into the mix. Oh, what a chance! Pontus Jansson up from the back. It could have been the second goal from a corner today, but Jansson heads it wide. In fact, the referee, Simon Hooper, has blown for a free kick anyway, but Jansson with a free header, he should have done better there. What an opportunity for Jansson that was. Oh, what a miss from Jansson. Well, this is what happened in the Chelsea game last week for Brentford. They properly turned it on in the final 20 minutes or so. Oh, and Jansson thought that was in when he headed it. Oh, and here they come again, Brentford. It's Norgard. He's got runners ahead of him, but he can't find either of Jensen or Tony. And it's given away, and at the moment Leicester City are holding on a little bit. Here's Tielemans, able to bring it down. Samari wants it next to him. He does get it. Under pressure from Force. And Norgard comes across to dispossess him. Onyeka running against Maddison, and he's tripped by Maddison, and that could be a yellow card for the England international. He's not going to get it though. Got to be totting up now, these free kicks though, which Maddison's given away. Norgard's putting a real shift in that midfield. Well, Ayosi Perez is preparing to come on for Leicester. Brendan Rodgers knows that his side are on the back foot. They need to change something to change the tide, which is all Brentford at the moment. Free kick again. Jensen, great ball into the penalty area. There's the header from Norgard. Around the back post is Jorgensen, but Jensen got there ahead of his compatriot. Now is it Leicester on the counter? That's a good ball as well. It's slipped through. It's Patson Daka. Is this it for Leicester? He squares it to Maddison, and James Maddison taps in from 10 yards out and runs with his hand to his ear in front of those Brentford supporters who's been giving him grief all afternoon. And despite Brentford once again being on top, they become complacent, and Leicester take the lead once more. Brentford 1, Leicester 2. Well, he was well onside. I don't know what Matthias Jensen was doing in at right back. He tried to step up when Daka was at least 2 yards onside. Calamitous stuff at the back from Brentford, who've been he's been the main creator for Leicester today. He was out of sorts at the beginning of the season, James Maddison, but he's found his goal scoring touch today. Well, that's the Leicester we know. That is the Leicester we know. Moving into space and making the most of it. As Tony goes up at the other end, and Brentford try to find another equaliser. Canos tries to flick it around the corner, doesn't come off, but it still finds its way out to Onyeka. It's all on his own now, and it's fed to him by Jensen, who makes the wrong decisions go down the line to Jensen, who's doing some high pressing on Kasper Schmeichel. Onyeka gets there ahead of Tielemans. It's the dream midfield two of Tielemans and Maddison who've got the goals today for Leicester, as Onyeka just thinks about it too much, and just as Brentford got the ball back, they give it away, and it's Marcus Forss, who since coming on has done absolutely nothing. $15 minutes of normal time remains in this game. Brentford 1, Leicester City 2. And it's Onyeka who's coming off. He's putting a good shift, Frank Onyeka, but his mindset, his tactical responsibility is to be the man who sweeps up in midfield. And on in his place comes number 14, Saman Ghoddos. Be interesting to see what he can do. We've not seen much of him this season. All of his Brentford goals, incidentally, have been scored at home, so he much prefers playing here in the Brentford Community Stadium. Jorgensen's throwing down the left-hand side. Tony in his own half wins it. Here's Jensen. Round the corner it goes for Fours to chase. It got there ahead of Evans, but Evans, again, showing great composure to win it back. Here's Ricardo Pereira. How's he still got that? And he hasn't anymore. But he managed to get past two players in red and white before being dispossessed. Frustration on the faces of the supporters here in West London. Here's Norgard under pressure from Kelechi Iheanacho. David Raya to Janssen. Things just going a little bit flat here in West London. Here's Christopher Ayer. Manages to get away from Timothy Castagna. It's going to be his throw as well. And before that, there's going to be another change. Josi Perez, who will be coming on. He's been waiting quite some time. James Maddison, who goes off. And it looks like at the moment it's his goal which is going to separate these two teams. He's putting a good shift, James Maddison. His manager, Brendan Rodgers, will be pleased. But he has played the role of pantomime villain in this second half. And then just to compound the home supporters' grief, it looks like it's going to be his goal that separates these two teams. Looking for 4 win. Didn't know much about it. Long it goes for Iheanacho to chase. He's done a lot of chasing today, Kelechi Iheanacho. You're always going to get hard work out of the former Manchester City man. Right out wide to Jorgensen. Down the left hand side. Wants to go backwards, but only has space in front of him, bizarrely. Iheanacho wins the ball off him and throws it backwards. Less than 10 minutes to go in East London. West Ham 1, Tottenham 0 is the score. Antonio's goal from another corner for West Ham is what separates them. Jensen over the top looking for the run of Rico Henry, and Brentford are not looking as if they are going to find that equaliser. The attacking threat, the attacking stream has rather run dry in the second half. Jorgensen with some defending to do under pressure from Kelechi Iheanacho. Don't know how many times I've said that today. Christopher Ayer, who came on at half time in place of Ethan Pinnock, who took a knock. Fours loses out again. Just doesn't seem Premier League ready. Marcus Fours. Here's Canos, who scored on opening day, but hasn't impressed since, really. They've won it back here. Canos has it down the line for Tony, who wanted it to feet, but because of the miscommunication, Vestergaard is able to win possession, but he can only knock it out for a throw-in about 10 yards from the corner flag on the Brentford right. Godos looking for someone to come up from the back to take this long throw-in into the penalty area. They need to make something happen. Jorgensen forward, the man who got Brentford level in the second half, but then about 10 minutes later, James Maddison found another goal. Can Jorgensen make this one count? It's a long throw-in from Jorgensen. It's glanced on by Ayer, but the man behind him was Sumare, who heads it away.